the same old song, but I know where you really belong. Give it up wherever you roam. Give it up, you're never alone. Give it up wherever you roam. Give it up, you're already home. You say you want to believe. You never get on your knees, no. You just keep rolling on and on. Keep on singing the same old song, but I know where you really belong. Give it up wherever you roam. Give it up, you're never alone. Give it up wherever you roam. Give it up, you're already home.
Yeah. First, have I remembered to connect everything? Hope so. Isabel, thank you for being here. Thank you. And Angela, good evening. Good evening. Nigel, hello. Hello if you're on Facebook or YouTube. Good to be with you. And so just getting back into the rhythm of where this all started, which was essentially as frequently as frequently as possible, kind of hanging out in this sort of space and sharing the day, talking metal, talking alternative lifestyles, music, in any way that we might feel different, alternative, or being made to feel that, but a space where all are welcome. So trying to get back into the rhythm alongside the in-person stuff that we're doing as well, and figuring it out and seeing where it goes. So welcome. Thank you if you're joining and commenting for the first time. You are very, very welcome. And just to reiterate that I do mean it, that everybody's welcome, and if there are ways in which we can enable you or others to feel more welcome, or things we need to learn, I need to learn, please do. Please do get in touch and share that with us. Hello, Kate. And so with that in mind, it's only right and fitting that we play this. Now, I'm not quite sure which version of this is, but this might be the first time some of us have heard this. This is a remix. I don't know. I tried to... No. Right. Good evening and welcome.
You're welcome here if you're she, he, we, or they. You're welcome here if you're gay, straight, or working it out. You're welcome here if you're in a relationship, single, divorced, or widowed. You are welcome here if you're inked, pierced, both, or neither.
You're welcome here if you're young.
Or young at heart.
You're welcome here if your neurons like to be typical or like to be spicy. You're welcome here if you're more Christian than Colin from Witch Hazel or haven't got the whole faith thing yet.
You are welcome here if you're living on a prayer or could use a prayer right now. You are welcome here if you've got it all sorted or if you've got doubts. You are welcome here.
Well, yeah, so I'm not sure if use that to regenerate, and since then I thought the backing could do with being a bit lower during the spoken bits, but I might have overdone it, and it just feels to my ears, my one ear anyway, that it's a bit kind of up and down, like a roller coaster at Blackpool. And life is a roller coaster. If you are Ronan Keating, but we don't necessarily want it to sound that audibly, do we? So yeah, any thoughts? Ducking, echoing. It's a bit echoey, right? Okay. So ducking. Too much ducking about. So ducking is where you, like on the radio, where you are talking and you're talking over the music, and the music suddenly dips down so you can hear your radio voice. Apparently that's called ducking. I only know this because I had a mixing desk that said duck on it. So like you look at it and you go, and nothing happens. And you press the button and suddenly things go quiet. So yeah, so I might do it. The Right Honourable, Venerable David Larry Carroll. Good evening, sir. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And yes, blisters and others. I feel I know I have tinnitus, but I can hear something ringing a bell. And it isn't just the way that Johnny B. Good plays guitar, although that is just like ringing a bell. Is there a line about bells in? Is it in Walk by Pantera? I don't know. Anyway, what am I about? I have no idea. Do you? No, Hild. I've lost Hild. I dusted out my PlayStation 3 to play some retro games, and I don't know where I put her. So I was going to ask Hild if she could tell me what I'm on about, but apparently not. So in which case, let us gather. As moon rises, the sun slips sight. Begins the ritual of this night. For those convinced their path is right. Gathered from north, south, east and west, yet called at another's behest, those treading the path that is left. From near and far come as you are to this place, and embrace this space as darker hue embraces you. Of water, spirit, earth and fire, confessing the sins of empire, we come with our wounds and desire. Sensing that we are not alone, drawn to the flame that guides us home, for here you, me and yet to be. Importance and signs of these times, for the sake of all those maligned, is yet the home of the divine. We should do everything this evening in radio voices. That would be very cool. I wonder how you are. I think we streamed in October. We had Regenerate at the beginning of October. We were down in Bristol in September. And this Saturday, we are in Sheffield again at the Victorian masterpiece that is Walkley Ebenezer Church. So if you are in the Sheffield, South Yorkshire area, and feel free to pop along for an evening entitled November Rain. For copyright reasons, it's obviously spelled REIGN. But a chance to, November seems like it's a month of remembering. We've got Remembrance Sunday just gone. Certainly here we've had various services inviting people who have the funeral service for a loved one over the last year, recognising, coming up to Christmas, perhaps not the easiest time for many of us for various reasons. So a chance in all of that to remember and to recall, but also to remember. Jesus in the Last Supper says, "Do this to remember me." So you kind of have the bread and the wine, and we remember what Jesus did on the cross. We remember kind of Jesus and those words at the Last Supper. But also, if you put kind of a hyphen between the re and the member, it's kind of being put back together. Members of a body being things put back together, and maybe. Again, this verse that will not leave me at the end of the feeding of the 5,000 and all the others, Jesus says, pick up all the fragments so that nothing is lost. And they're actually in the remembering, which can be joyful, which can also be painful as well. In the remembering, there is something about with God, the divine, the other, and each other supporting each other, that sense of not being alone. And maybe we are remembered, that we are, those different things are kind of held together in the divine. That's kind of roughly what we're thinking about doing on Saturday evening at 7:00 at Walkley Ebenezer. Get your Victorian goth on, and top hats are optional. And it'd be lovely to see you there. And all being well, we'll be streaming as well. But that's not an excuse. If you are within walking tram bus distance of South Yorkshire, please do pop along. There are bus routes out from the city centre if you're on train or buses. The amazing road crew, I'm sure, having now listened to me say that, may just pop in what those buses are, because I'll get them wrong, and then you'll end up in Pontefract or Rotherham or who knows. Whitby, no Hild. Oh, I can hear her. I can't see her. I don't know. Wayne's World. Good evening, Wayne. Yes, sunny Devon. Right, okay, not very sunny here. And Gisela, hello. How are things in Germany? And it's good to be with you again. And yeah. Oh, Nigel. There's one from Nigel. Nigel, sorry I can't be there, but I'm the sound desk again for a concert at church. So yet again, Nigel, are you? Is it a kind of behemoth? I mean, not behemoth. Probably don't think they'd be playing in a Methodist church. But is it a massive metal band that are playing in Lichfield that night? Or is it I don't know, a ukulele orchestra, barbershop quartet? I don't know. What are you on the wheels of steel for? David. Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. Yeah, either that or a very long zip line. But be good to join with you online if you're around. Here we are, the bus routes. Here you are. Bus route is 55, stopping on South Road in Walkley, and the number 52 stopping near Walkley Library. And we'll put just about finished the fly for it. So that will go on Facebook and out through the group. So feel free to look out for that with the postcode on for sat-navs and whatnot. Sat-navs? Does anybody still use a sat-nav, or do we just use phones? I don't know, anyway. But Greenough Street, Walkley, Sheffield is where you're heading for, and you cannot miss this sort of Victorian splendour of this building. So we have gathered, yes. We have talked about that, yes. That was news. That wasn't notices, Angela. You have not missed the notices. I guess I was trying to say it's been a while since we last met. We're meeting in person this Saturday. So how have you been since we last met? Is there something from today or from since we last met that's been particularly good for you? Something positive? Maybe other stuff going on as well. We can think about that later. But stuff that you're thankful for that has encouraged you, given you hope, peace, comfort, giving you a sense of actually you are awesome and important and valued. So please do let me know what it is you are thankful for as we head towards our Tusen for this Tusen Tuesday. It's like we thought of it this time.
too, shall we be downcast too? Or stand shield to shield, together in the field. We refuse to yield. Steadfastly holding the line, for love wins in eternity's time. We keep pressing forward until the last, and our crash shall be forever. Tusen.
Oh, yes, it will. So, Tusen Takk. So, okay, just backstepping. No, it is not heavy metal, a barbershop group. It is part of the Lichfield Festival of Music. Well, I hope that includes some metal. I bet it would in Norway. No, that sounds interesting. Yeah. What sort of? Oh, Hild, how many times turn the notifications off on your phone when we are streaming? Can you hear all the way from Whitby? Anyway, Tusen Takk. From Nigel that the fireworks have stopped. Yeah, I think I had the last ones. Saturday, I think. Yeah. One went off just as I stepped out the front door onto the step. It was so loud it made me jump. I had to go and then kind of get changed and go out again. Yeah, probably made me jump. So especially those like Kate, who have animals, and perhaps the animals are well over the fireworks at the notice at the moment. Yes, pardon me, Bishop. And massive Tusen Takk with David for the Midnight Metal Monastery being 5 years old. Man, that's the past 5 years. That's awesome. That's fantastic. That's brilliant. And here's the next 5. If you haven't checked it out, people, please do. And again, on various other kind of metal forums, Christian metal forums, you can kind of find links and information as well. So yes, do some Google foo. David, feel free to drop in a link as well, if that's helpful. So Tusen Takk with Angela for being over last week's lurgy. Yeah, I hope it wasn't too bad. There's a bit of that going around here. Yeah. And Gisela. Yeah. So I think in the Metal Methodist group, we were kind of thinking about stuff that we're thankful for and stuff perhaps we inadvertently take for granted. One of those quite often is just health, and for those of us not in the greatest shape at the minute, yeah, it's but also as Gisela says, and I think others have said, the fact that especially this sort of season and weather, that we've got a roof over our heads. Just thinking about, got friends who've come back recently from North Carolina, and and just places in the world impacted by natural disaster, and perhaps the intensity and frequency with those things happening, it may feel like. So yeah, thank you, Giselle. That's really helpful to share. And a friend who sent you a CD that you went last week. Excellent. Are we allowed to know what the CD is? Will you give us a review? That'd be interesting. Thank you. And with Wayne, choose checking for stories of hope in traumatic situations. Yeah. Thank you, and thank you for sharing that. But if any of us are finding it particularly tough at the minute, that again, the whole point of this is that we are not alone, and that hope, love wins. These 3 things remain: faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. So glad you've found that today, and being able to kind of highlight them just reminds us that when we are struggling, perhaps keep on, and look for that sort of that light, that day dawning. That's not to rush through the stuff and pretend it's not happening, but to support each other during that, but to encourage us that eventually, Mr. Frodo, we will make it out of Mordor. There's about to be in Mordor. with Rachel. A nice weekend with your brother. Fantastic for his birthday. Went to Sheffield's Derby at Bramley. Yes. Wednesday versus Blades, and then out for Sunday dinner at the pub in Topley. Nice. It was a bit of a tense church council at one of my churches last night as a following the result of that game. But yeah. There's Patrick. Hello, Patrick. Greetings to you too. David is Midnight Metal Monastery. The link to Facebook page. It's on in France on Sundays. And going to very kindly send us all the listings. Thank you very much. I shall share those. Thank you, good sir. And there was. Have I missed anybody? I just want to go back to this one. Yes. So people may be aware we were fortunate enough to receive some funding from the Methodist Church of Great Britain for a digital new place for new people, i.e. Metal Methodist, this aspect. So yes, the streams, but also the page, the group, they're trying to create a sense of community for those of faith, those open to the possibility of faith, something beyond ourselves, but particularly those who are into, kind of particular forms of music, alternative metal, goth, that sort of stuff. But again, perhaps people who, may be interested in faith, but actually the thought of going to what they perceive a traditional church, whatever, perhaps because of past experience, but perhaps because of, perhaps reasonable assumptions based on media and stories and things, certainly in the UK, that's kind of very prominent in the news today with the resignation of the Bishop of the Dish, the Archbishop of Canterbury. I don't know if he has got a dish. But yeah, so, you may understandably have some questions, some doubts, some, negative views about faith. And so again, just trying to create a space in which we can ask questions, we can be who we are, we can know that we are welcomed, and hopefully create a safe space for people. That's the kind of aim, an inclusive space. So yeah. So as part of that, the funding kind of trying to respond to all the messages and all the kind of sense of creating community, as well as trying to grow it and ideally become self-sustaining in the future. Then using this money as kind of a Compline, seed money, starter money, able to create all of a Metal Methodist development worker, and Kate, the road crew, who's been kind of doing loads in a volunteer capacity, is now the Metal Methodist development worker. All hail the road crew. So I want to acknowledge that, celebrate with her, and thank her for that. And I guess now we have that extra bit of capacity, apart from the randomly being weird in my study. Then I guess it'd be really good to have an ongoing conversation about what is helpful, what should we do more of, where the sorts of places and spaces we should be, what do people find helpful, what's not there, how could we be, the ways in which we could be more inclusive, I guess, etc. So yeah, the kind of part of that growing the community is working together. So very open, both of us, to kind of hearing thoughts and suggestions and feedback. Thank you, sir. That is no. Well, likewise, good sir. So it's just really good that we can be part of this, because it is about sharing love for each and every person, and the fact that each of us have some, have divine, as Pantocrator say, we are custodians, bearers of God. And I just would hope that in some way being part of this for you can be a way in which you just have that message reinforced, that you are awesome, and that just shine and be who you are, because the world is such a bad place because you're in it, basically. So kind of doing more of that, and open thoughts, suggestions, or whatever. So thank you so far though for sharing what you are thankful for, but what you are so thankful for, saying thanks doesn't quite cut it, because say Tusen Takk, because it is more Viking, therefore inherently more metal. So thank you for sharing what this day has made Yao say, I've lost it. There it is. Who's a dog? Maybe to the stuff that is heavy and not in a cool metal way. And if you want to share any of that, again, it's kind of public forum, so invite you to just feel okay with what you share, and it's okay not to share. But if anyway, just acknowledging some of that, and in order to kind of get it out of our heads sometime, either by writing it down and burning it or binning it, obviously with due fire safety, or using something to represent it that you can chuck in a bin or get rid, whatever helps you. Just kind of acknowledge that stuff that's just in your head, getting it out, so it's perhaps less in there. We can kind of poke it and move it around and get a different perspective on it, a bit like journaling, maybe, perhaps, for those who do that. Then if there's stuff that is heavy, not in a core metal way, a chance to lay that stuff down. Maybe it's an ongoing situation, but we need to go back to it. But this might be a place of refuge. I guess communities of faith and gathering like this, whatever we believe, but the sense of being together in a supportive environment is kind of like this. I think this might be a direct quote from Wayne Grewcock, actually, the venerable Wayne Grewcock, whose seagull once said that perhaps these sort of gatherings are like a harbour where you come in for a rest. Yeah, you come in for a bit of kind of refreshment and rejuvenation, a bit of the paint job, whatever, but then you go out again. But that sense of you've connected with people, and that sense of connection goes with us. We're not on our own. So yeah, in whatever way it is helpful for you this evening, I invite you to lay down some of, or all of, any of that stuff. The principalities and will to power, the worms from within my own darkest hour. I confess all the regrets and the regrets, the burdens and fears, the lament and the tears. I lay them down. And as we do, God in Christ is running out to meet us and says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, even if you don't like Iron Maiden, but why on earth wouldn't you? And I will give you rest. May that rest and that peace be yours tonight." Those at Free General, we know that after kind of 4 years, not quite as long as Midnight Metal Monastery, but what feels like, I think it is about 4 years. For the first time, I managed to get those words the wrong way around and have Jesus saying, "Come to me, all you who are weary and Iron Maiden, and I will give you laden." Because I'm such a professional, yes. So may that rest in peace with that. Yes, thank you, Wayne. Sorry, wrong way around there. Thank you, Wayne. Yeah, the things you can't control. Yes, that's actually quite huge, isn't it? And I don't know about you, I find that really difficult, because I think it's really helpful to try and do it, because so much time and effort and energy and cycling round. And I don't know about anybody else, but if I find myself in a bit of a cycle like that and I can't change it, so I just go round in ever decreasing circles and kind of implode on myself. So in terms of mental well-being and stuff, that's really helpful, and not an easy thing to do either. I'm not saying it's just there we are, but yeah, I think to remind us of that, of the prayer that is often, I think, linked with various 12-step movements, but can be used by anybody. The serendipity prayer, grant me the strength to change the things that I can, and sort of the peace to just be able to let go of the things that I can't change or control, and the wisdom to kind of know the difference, and being able to say that to God or the divine, the other, whatever word you want to use, that describes that sense of something bigger than us, that gives us a sense of hope in whatever way that is, I think. Yeah. So so bless you, Wayne. Bless you. Sorry. Oh, I meant that. I didn't. I'm so sorry. Would you like a bless you? Bless you, brother. Yes. That was from the Right Reverend Wright, Darcy Wright. That's D apostrophe RC. Yes, I think Jesus would like Iron Maiden. It was pretty funny, wasn't it? I just thought it was bound to happen. As it happened, I'm like, how has this not happened before? Because, as we all know, I'm very, very eloquent and never, ever whip over my words. Trip over my words. Again, that was very close to being something really not okay, wasn't it? Never mind. Quick, let's move on. Yes, James. Yes, Hild. All right then. No, wrong voice. Anyway, right, okay. All right. What are we doing? Bible. Oh, yes. And now, reading from the Bible, which is metal. The Metal Bible. So metal, it is made of papier. Yeah, hear that, Rachel? Yeah. Feel free to ignore that. Acknowledging that and talking to that is probably adding to that irritation. Sorry. Yes, while Rachel is here, and not to give you something else to talk about, but just to give you lovely people, a heads up that on the Facebook group, as well as the in-person gathering November Rain, spelled ERIGN, at Walkley Ebenezer Victorian Masterpiece that it is at 7 p.m. this Saturday. On the third Saturday in December, working with Rachel and the congregation over another part of Sheffield, looking to do some kind of, remembering winter solstice, longest night, all of that, all of the challenges, as well as the joys around Christmas, but also, that actually, it's a load of pressure. It's a load of pressure to buy stuff. It's a load of pressure to look like you're happy because it is the season to be jolly. Like we can just go, okay, then all this other stuff, I just won't think about it. And all of that, and being perhaps around people more, and maybe some of us don't find that easy, or it's really draining, and a place just to go. Ooh. And also, the spirit of Silent Night, apart from the fact that, it wasn't snowing, like in the bleak midwinter, but Silent Night, I'm sure it wasn't calm. I mean, that's not take away from the whole thing in, World War One, where troops on either side of trenches joined together in singing it, but as a hymn, it's got absolutely nothing to do with first century kind of Israel, Palestine, and context. And actually, it wasn't quiet. There was like it's an animal feeding trough. There's animals, and as I pointed out to the Boys Brigade last year, there was poo. It's noisy, and for those of us who perhaps struggle, I think increasingly I kind of sensing this. It's taken me 46 years to work this out, but actually kind of going, maybe it's okay to not just like, kind of heavy metal and all that sort of stuff, but actually this thing in Christian spirituality and other forms of spirituality about silence. Silence is golden, which means that everything else is like silver or bronze. So like you came second and third in the Olympics, like you were not good enough, right? But if you went to silence and you can do it, that's awesome. But this thing of, this thing that if you are, whatever you believe, even if you don't believe in anything beyond ourselves, people still meditate, and this focus and all of that. And I just think about science and Christmas, and yes, escape the business and the pressure of buying stuff and celebrating it in this whatever way we do in this, in the, kind of Western culture, whatever. And perhaps there's a story that gets lost in the midst of all of that business. But actually, it's okay to make noise at Christmas. It's okay for it not to be a silent night. So with Rachel and some people, we're going to be kind of rocking up some carols, and creating space where I hope you can have fun in a kind of safe, welcoming space. But also acknowledge some of the pressures and the challenges and the difficulties around this time of year. So watch out for that Longest Night advert on our Metal Methodist media and stuff. See, there we go. Without silence, you cannot fully appreciate the noise. Thank you. So Kate came up with the phrase "God in the noise" because it's like Elijah, and there was the earthquake, and there was the wind, and there was the fire. Then there was a still small voice, and it was God. Thinking, but isn't God who creates, God of creation, also in the earthquake, the wind, and the fire, and the noise? God in the noise. So but actually, okay. But without the silence, you cannot fully appreciate the noise. So it's holding the two together. Very sure not so quiet Christmas carols will reflect something of what a choir of angels might have sounded like. Awesome. No way with a lovely choral music, but I also love a bit of choral music too. Yeah. I mean, this is what the thing I love about kind of the more gothic stuff, that something, or symphonic metal. Absolutely. And as I was about to go with the angelic throng, it said angels appeared, and they're always in the sky. I'm like, nowhere does it say they appeared in the sky. Were they just ordinary people who picked up this news that God had gone, and they'd gone, wow, I need to go and tell people? Because I don't know, that's what the shepherds then did, who encountered these angels, these messengers from God. And I love the fact that it was kind of, salt of the earth, wasn't the posh people, the elites, the kings, the queens, or whatever. It was, people out in the field, forgotten about, when everybody else was kind of warm inside. So, yes, here's to, do Christmas as it works for you. Absolutely. A kind of different one. Okay. Okay. So Kate's dropped that in. Thank you. And Nigel's pointed out that you have a video of me at Regenerate dancing with the palm tree. The palm tree has to dance. Who am I to? I didn't want to. I was dancing with a coconut, but I cut in with the coconut and. This is why it ends up being like Monty Python. Anyway, God is in the noise. Yes. So why was I going on about all of that? I have no idea. But I think I was roughly edging towards Bible reading, wasn't I? Yes, I was. So we're starting to get towards some of that Christmas story here, actually. So here we are from Mark's Gospel, chapter 6, verses 14 to 29. King Herod heard of it, for Jesus' name had become known. Some were saying John the Baptizer, John the Revelator, has been raised from the dead, and for this reason those powers are at work in him. But others said it's Elijah, him with the earthquake, wind, and fire. And others said it's a prophet like the one of the prophets of old. But when Herod heard of this, he said, John, whom I beheaded, has been raised. Wow. I mean, you must be like really, really quite intimidated by John if... your logical conclusion, King Herod, is that talking about remembering earlier on, but like to the point of like he's put his head back on. It's kind of nearly headless Nick in Harry Potter. Anyway, for Herod himself had sent men who arrested John, bound him, and put him in prison on account of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife, because Herod had married her. For John had been telling Herod, it's not lawful for you to have your brother's wife. And Herodias had a grudge against him and wanted to kill him, but she could not, for Herod feared John, knowing that he was righteous and holy man, and he protected him. When he heard him, he was greatly perplexed. And yet he liked to listen to him, but an opportunity came when Herod on his birthday, always the birthday is an excuse, gave a banquet for his courtiers and officers and for the leaders of Galilee. When his daughter Herodias came in and danced, she pleased Herod and his guests. And the king said to the girl, ask me for whatever you wish, and I will give it. And he solemnly swore to her, whatever you ask me, I will give you, even half my kingdom. She went out and said to her mother, what should I ask for? And her mum replied, the head of John the Baptizer. Immediately she rushed back to King Herod and requested, I want you to give me at once the head of John the Baptist on a platter. Love how she added the platter bit in there. Like, whoa, not just the head. No. Let's turn the gross up to 11. Yeah. The king was deeply grieved, yet out of regard for his oaths and for his guests, he did not want to refuse her. Immediately, the king sent a soldier of the guard with orders to bring John's head. He went out and beheaded him in the prison. So, adult 12A content warning here. After the fact, brought the head on the platter and gave it to the girl. Then the girl gave it to her mum. Yeah, mum, you could have needed a school today. When his disciples heard about it, they came and took the body and laid it there too. Yeah, that's a cheerful one, isn't it? So I don't know what you think about that. I guess the context is the around Galilee, news about Jesus, about his teaching, about kind of miracles, people who've been outcast from community and society, encountering Jesus, and then being able to be accepted by their community in some way. So a sense of, kind of bringing people back into community. Question about whether they should have been excluded in the first place, applies as much today as it did then. So people are wondering who Jesus is, and John has been pointing the way to one who is coming, and so the assumption is this is John the Baptist, and who's been a bit critical and calling people to repent, calling people back to God. Herod is a kind of puppet king for the oppressing Roman occupiers, and so he doesn't really want anything that's going to ruffle the waters and make him unpopular or bring attention down on him from the kind of the nearest Roman governor, because he's there to keep the peace, and if you keep the peace, then the Romans might just leave him alone. So we're talking about faith stuff, but we're talking political stuff as well. We're talking social stuff. It's don't rock the boat, it's about power. So I just wonder if any of that means anything to anybody tonight. Maybe it's a familiar story. Maybe like me, you knew there was something weird about you as a child when you have the sort of the Lion Bible, children's Bible, like the glory pictures were the ones you wanted to look at most, including in this one that I could still describe vividly, and the colours and stuff, and what that says about me, I don't know. I have to disappear and get taken off air now. But yeah, is it? Yeah, again, whether it's not Silent Night, was it a silent night? Was it a messy, noisy night? Jesus meek and mild, as if, this is political stuff, this is grim stuff, and perhaps it challenges some of our more sanitized view of Jesus. So this rather gritty story. What does that mean to you? Does it remind you of anything? Does it have echoes in your own life or experience? Do you hear it and go, what the heck is that about? I'd love to know what you think. And why have I left all that time reading the Bible passage? I've left that comment up from Nigel Knock. Oh dear, how embarrassing. Anyway, so yes, love to know what you think. What do you think of that Bible reading? Let's have a ponder. perhaps going back to the previous comment about Christmas and angels and them appearing and angelic throngs, Wayne's suggesting that, like angels, we need to throng more. And how does one throng? They didn't teach that at Vicar School. But apparently for Wayne, it was a compulsory module in year 2. That's because Wayne went to proper Vicar School, not part-time Vicar Polytechnic like me. And so you may have noticed that there's been a slight change here. And this is a fuggler, a funny, ugly monster. I like these because their teeth almost like a veal, and they have weird eyes. And this is a homage, a collaboration between the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Fuggler. And I bring you the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Fuggler, Leonardo, yes. And the reason for sharing this, and it comes in a nice sort of pizza box as well, which is quite clever, isn't it? Because they like pizza, you see. But what's interesting is they do a range of these with pants on, and I've just realised I've completely confused the word "from" there with. Never mind. Anyway, so John the Baptist, says Kate, the adult in the room, he's very interested because he really didn't fit in. No, he was like the ultimate misfit, dressing weird, hair shirt, eating weird stuff, locusts and honey. Although, kind of apparently it's sustainability now. There is a thing, isn't there, about eating insects, as a much more sustainable food source full of protein. We can get into the, ethics of that, I guess. And, I say that as a vegetarian. I'm a really bad vegetarian because I don't like vegetables. I eat salad. But, anything that's not meat and of a beige colour, I'm there. I'm down. It's cool. But, yeah. So, maybe actually in more ways he was pointing to Jesus, but maybe dietary-wise he was also pointing to a more sustainable way of getting the protein that one needs without kind of, intensively farming creation into oblivion. Anyway, people at large would never believe he was holy. Yeah. So, who is holy? I think the reading on Sunday morning just gone. There's, Jesus saying, "Abide in me. If you abide in me, I abide in you. Remain in my love, and I no longer call you servants or followers or pupils, disciples, but I call you friends." And the other people called God's friend in the Bible are people like Abraham. So it's like, whoa, hanging out and trying to follow Jesus and to kind of live out what he was on about. We become friends of God, children of God, but also friends of God. And I think I'd like to think I'm friends with my children. They're probably not friends with me, but at the same time, there's still that role as well. But actually, to be a friend of God, that's pretty mind blowing. And I guess maybe we look at certain people, and we can. I have not gone into the article, so I don't want to talk about stuff that I haven't read and I'm fully informed about. But obviously, our understanding of who is holy, and our expectations around that. Do we expect that from people who are religious leaders? When they are found to be human, and sometimes deeply human, and mistakes, but make mistakes that have kind of all sorts of impacts, and have to leave, all of that. What does that do? Really, are we? I mean, so John Wesley, one of the founders of the Methodist movement within the Church of England, at university, him and his brother started this thing called the Holy Club. I mean, that's one way to probably not make friends and influence people. How to lose friends and alienate people is kind of going, we're the Holy Club. Yes, we have to say holy. And that's because they thought they were, because they were trying to pursue a way of holiness and being focused on God and living out God's love. But Holy Club that then became, well, you're so methodical and so rigid in the times of day you pray and what you do and when you do it, that we call you the Methodist. It's a nickname. It's a put down. And is that kind of perhaps what John experienced? But then people came to him and something connected. There was a message in there that was saying about, hope within traumatic events. You're living in an oppressed area with a kind of governing regime, and there's somebody calling you back to faith, to repent, to turn around, to turn God again, and to be baptized. And people were responding. And I guess if people starting to propose a different way, that isn't the sort of the status quo, then people like Herod start to get twitchy, because it might cause a bit of a ruckus, and the Romans all come and go, "No, what are you doing? We'll be off with your head next." Dear. So yes, I often wonder how we discern the prophets are today. Yeah, and again, so it was me and Kate were talking about this the other day, and this thing in metal, and it's happened when we've done stuff that people have either took one look at it, and in some cases me, and then got off and described me to the point where I didn't recognize myself, because what they described is not me, but the person doing what they were describing was me. That it's kind of it's not only not prophetic or holy, it's the absolute opposite of that. It's kind of evil and because of all sorts of preconceptions that we all have, that we all carry, kind of conscious and unconscious biases that we have. But yeah, and then in terms of some things that are prophetic, and sometimes they can be really uncomfortable and not look very nice or sound very nice, including stories about people have their heads cut off and put them on a plate for all sorts of dodgy human motivations, and then we silence people, or we discard what they are saying because they don't look like we expect, or perhaps the message of prophecy that they have gets lost by the presentation because we can't engage with the presentation. So we're talking about, I don't know, whether it's bands that have certain album covers or artwork that makes go, oh no, we don't want to engage with that, but they might be saying something that's worth listening to, or something with loads and loads of swears in, and perhaps we don't feel able to engage with that, and that's totally cool if that's a decision you need to make. But then sometimes the message behind a load of swears in a song might actually be one that's worth listening to, and might not be that far away from what I would want to call prophetic. I think of the song "Hacktivist" by Bring the Horizon. Another Sheffield band in it. Everyone Yorkshire. I know Hild. Yeah, so how do we discern the prophets are today? Yes. And Rachel now has a ridiculous image in your head of John the Baptist, the ultimate biblical hipster. Oh, that's a whole nativity thing that needs to happen. Yeah, cool. Right, not in position to think through difficult pastures. I do find it a bit comforting that the political nonsense has always happened. That God was at work then and is still at work now. Yeah. Obviously, elections here in the UK, elections more recently, obviously in America, and I'm sure we're going to have a whole range of views. And again, beneath that noise, where is the noise? Yeah, where is God's noise and God's truth and God at work and people acting prophetically around justice and inclusion and priorities, etc. Yeah, and what consequences they face even today, I guess. Politics is everywhere, which is why you often get told you don't talk about religion and politics. Well, I think, but in the words of Skunk and Nancy, who were doing their first headline tour in 2025 for many years, yes, it's political. Everything's political. I think it is, and I think going to bang on about liberation theology again, but it is. Jesus says, quoting Isaiah, I will set the oppressed free. I will enable those who are spiritually, socially blind, able to see the kind of systems that are oppressing and unjust. And it's good news. And it's good news to those who are oppressed and poor and downtrodden. That is a social manifesto. That's a political manifesto. And and liberation theology in Latin America and that stuff, all of that. And that's what Jesus stands up, reads, drops it like he's dropping the mic, and goes, "Today in your hearing, these words have been fulfilled." You cannot get more political than that. So, what does that mean for us today about what we say, where we say it? Yeah, the letters that we write, or petitions that we sign electronically or otherwise, and the marches we go on, the things we superglue ourselves to. I know people say Christians should never ever do things like that, but I know many who do, and as much as I've been brave enough to do, I've done a bit of that. I haven't superglued myself to things, but I've been on protests, and it does not feel a comfortable place to be these days. You are being filmed, you are being watched, you are surrounded by the people wearing masks and bandanas, and that was before COVID, and you just want to make sure that the people at Yarlswood Detention Centre are okay, who are waiting for their asylum claims to be processed, and potentially children and mothers, particularly potentially having been separated, and so all of those human rights issues, which for me as a Christian felt like something I should go on, but sat there going, "Oh man, this does not feel safe." Whoa. But maybe it's not meant to. It needs to be more John the Baptist and point people to Jesus and have long hair. Brilliant. Yeah. So be more John the Baptist. Be more vile. I mean, he was pretty vile, right? He was, like Kate said, he was like coming across. I mean, he's the sort of person you'd have crossed the River Jordan to avoid, I suspect, at the time. And yet something drew people and something pointed. And Patrick absolutely agrees that. And Patrick, it's I hear you, because my solar panel is getting bigger and bigger. Nigel, John the Baptist was pointed to Jesus, and by this happening, he was not, he wasn't in the way of Jesus, and people only then had Jesus. Yeah. So because it wasn't about him, he was pointing the way to Jesus, and then, well, sadly, it wasn't sort of, I'm going to, I've had my years in the limelight, being the sort of rock and roll rock star in my hair shirt, in the, living on the tour bus in the wilderness, and I'm going to go off and kind of run a locust farm quietly, like some sort of aging rock star or something, kind of Robert Plant. I don't know. Robert Palmer even, but it comes to a rather sticky end, but having pointed to Jesus, then actually it is all eyes on Jesus, and people don't like it, but actually his role wasn't about him, it was about others. J and B was the new Myers-Briggs personality type. It should be. At times, do discern prophetic voices with hindsight? Yes. Yeah, I think so. That's really helpful, Patrick. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I don't think it needs to be a thing of, oh, darn, I missed it. If only I had listened. But again, it's that God who, the God at the end, God in Jesus at the end of the feeding of the 5,000, who takes all those little fragments and collects them all so nothing is lost. That kind of helps us to look back and join the dots. It's the footprints on the sand. And you're walking with Jesus on the beach at shoreline, and you look back and you notice there's one set of footprints, not two. And you're saying, Jesus, that was the really bad bit in my life. Where were you? And Jesus said, I was carrying you, dude. Yeah, but only with hindsight do we perhaps see God at work in that way, and those voices, and how we. But and then what do we do with that? I think then we kind of, when we were saying earlier again, looking back, and often through traumatic experiences and difficult things, perhaps with hindsight, we see and hear the prophetic voice, the voice of God. And at the very least, I pray that gives us that sense of, despite all of it, God is with us, still with us. And that is a reason for hope, because it means God's been there through all that difficult stuff. So absolutely, God is with you right now. Okay, so following on from the City Centre Act of Remembrance on Sunday, leaders of all faiths gathered with civic leaders for a meal together, specifically asked to talk religion and politics while you ate. Wow, that's cool. That's cool. I hope it was interesting. And again, I suspect it was probably quite grace-filled and gracious time, I hope. So there's a book, I can't remember what his name, I can't remember the name of the book is, but it's by a chap called Luke Bretherton. And he talks about, I guess, our approaches to different religions or different denominations, or different types of church within, or sects, if you want, or ways of following that religion within a particular religion. And I guess it's kind of like, we're all going, but this is true, and I'm right, and you're wrong. And Herod's going, shut up, John, do what I say, because I'm going to be in trouble with the Romans. The Romans going, shut up, do what we say. And John's going, no, look at Jesus. And Jesus is saying, the kingdom of God, justice, joy, and peace is here. Just come with me. And then we start to get at each other. And he was saying that then part of the response to that kind of conflicting thing about, well, you know, we can't all be true and right, can we? You know, this is my truth, now tell me yours, Nye Bevan, and a good Manic Street Preachers album. But actually, so we kind of did this thing of maybe there's kind of one mountain and many ways up the same mountain, and these are the different religions or expressions of faith. But then the risk is we all get together and we talk about faith, we talk about politics, but we don't talk about certain things. Don't talk about certain things because, you know, that's what's the current, but the red line. Don't talk about that. It's a hot topic. It's a hot take. Stay away from that. And Luke Bretherton in his book is kind of saying, actually, it's only when we start to really talk about the stuff that we have that is different, not just the stuff we might have in common, that actually we really start to understand each other. And that is really difficult. And you end up feeling challenged, not because of the way it's done, but because you are listening to a view and perspective that is completely different to yours. And that makes you kind of question, it does me, question and rework out again, well, why do I think that? Why do I believe that? What journey have I gone on to get to this point? Have I just picked this up somewhere and it's stuck with me, but I've never really thought it through? And the idea, I think, is that through that kind of refining, almost like refining fire, difficult and a bit hot and a bit painful, we come to a deeper, by wrestling with the questions and the doubts and the difference, perhaps we come to a deeper understanding of at least our own faith or our own experience and why we believe what we believe, whilst also hearing why something is so important to somebody else. Maybe there's a bit of respect that we gain from each other, and maybe that helps us to create societies that are multicultural and multi-faith and joyously diverse, in which we can respect each other. And that's not a new thing, because, you know, there are examples in history where we seem to be quite not too bad at that, but then we seem to kind of plot and drop me fuggler. I'm fuggling. So thank you, Wayne. Oh, this is quite serious, isn't it? Is the problem that churches become more Daniel O'Donnell and less pointy metallic? Yeah, maybe. They're all a bit nice. I think the venerable Justine Alain Chapman writes a book about this experience of women within the Church of England, particularly those who were the first to, let's be honest, be allowed to hold particular higher officers within the church, and their stories of struggle and resilience. And she, you know, she'd spent time in deliberately going out into the desert and the wilderness just to experience what it's like, what John the Baptist experienced and what Jesus experienced in the wilderness as well, for 40 days and 40 nights. On the sense that there's nothing, there's no one, it's scorching hot by day, it's deathly cold by night, the screech of the wind, the sand in your face, there's no one to talk to. You start to, you know, your ears start to hallucinate, whatever the audio version of that is, and all of that. And yet we're called to be salt and light. And she was saying that actually, you know, that wrestling with stuff and resilience and that deepening of faith, that refining, and the fire that kind of does that painful process sometimes, is what it is, rather than, you know, salt and salt kind of heals, but it flipping stings when it gets into places that are raw, right? But over time it helps, part of the healing process. But have we confused sugar with salt that we think we're supposed to be nice. Blessed are the meek. I don't, and all producers of dairy goods. But I don't. Yeah, Jesus didn't say be a doormat. Loads of those stories of Jesus. Turn the other cheek. No, don't turn the other cheek. So if somebody wants to take advantage and do this, you go, oh, okay. Not only that, but hey, carry on. Here's my other cheek you can slap me on. No, it was a justice thing. It was a kingdom of God thing. It was a radical thing. If I hit you with this side, if I'm going to hit you with the other side, I've got to use the other side of my hand, or my other hand, which then, this is the hand that I eat with. So now I'm lowering myself because I'm going to touch you, dirty person, with my sort of nice, good, clean hand, not that hand that I use for other things. And so now you've kind of pulled the rug under my kind of status and social standing a bit. And now I look really stupid if I do this, and I know what to do. It's all subversive, man. It's all political, and social construct challenging, undermining, redefining into a way that says we're all just made in the image of God, and we're all just pretty much okay, right? Yes, obviously, welcome Danny O'Donnell fans and everybody else. A grace-filled occasion. Glad to hear it, Patrick. 5 or 6 of us had spoken as part of the act of remembrance. Most we all had very similar messages, respecting and remembering the past, acknowledging the current world and its affairs, but then working for peace and the common good. Yeah, thank you. Wow, that went very deep. I'm not sure. Well, it's good whether we answered anything or we raised anything, but yeah, literally, I think I've said this before, but as you can probably tell, there is no plan to any of this. I open up the Methodist Church Word in Time Bible study on methodist.org.uk and just kind of read the reading for that. So that's been really helpful, sharing some of that. And yay for those who are deemed to be a bit odd or a bit weird. Because never mind entertaining angels, maybe we're entertaining prophets, and if we actually listen to each other, maybe we hear God. If we see through heaven's eyes, we see God in each other, no matter how we present ourselves to each other. So I guess from that, some things to consider by the Reverend Dr. Donald Kerr, who's a retired presbyter, so Methodist presbyter minister, currently in the West Midlands, your neck of the woods, Nigel. That bigs up this season of remembering and remembrance that Jesus was probably pretty good, devastated to hear about what happened to John. Perhaps he and his friends are going, well, so all of a sudden this is now got serious. This is potentially not safe for us anymore. And yet, like John, Jesus carries on being faithful to what he's feeling God is calling him to do, even to the point of death. And we're asked to think about Herod making a foolish promise. That was, the whole with the dance thing and what pleased him so much. I think if you've seen any of sort of the biblical, classic biblical films, it's where is there's a whole lot of patriarchy I think going on there. Not whatever you want to wear and how we want to dance, you should be allowed to, but this feels slightly more like Herod's the one with the power here and a bit sort of patriarchy-ish and Pervy, I'll be honest, that's what it sounds like to me. That's how it comes across in those biblical films anyway. But he makes, he's so kind of taken up in this moment with this, courageous dancing for him. And he starts to say, I'll do anything. I'll make everything great again. And it doesn't matter what I'm saying now because, it's just words and it'll be great. And if I just say that at the end of it, I'll give you half my kingdom. And then he's kind of stuck by his own ill thought out promise, getting caught up in the moment. And then he has to follow through. And yet there are some, evidence as well that actually Herod quite Herod potentially Herod was listening to John a little bit. Herod was interested in what John had to say. Whether that's because he wanted to kind of, keep a good listening ear onto what potentially seditious people were saying, or whether he was, kind of thinking, ideally I'd like not to be the king, some puppet king for these Romans. So what's this John guy got to say? And, is there a bit of a rebellion that maybe we could, build a Death Star and take over and kick the Romans out? I don't know. But, so, yeah, there's an element of him, Herod, having to do something that he probably wouldn't really wish he hadn't done or have to do. And whether we find ourselves in those situations, that you've opened your mouth and overshared, overpromised, whatever. It's like every time I do a live stream. Sorry. Yeah, there we are. But yeah, it's good that we're all different, and to celebrate our differences, and that we are, in all our diversity, made in the image of God, because then we can go deep in those conversations and ask tricky questions from the viewpoint of nothing I'm asking you is to understand the unique way in which you are a child of God, rather than asking it to try and find a way of pointing out you're not a child of God, because we can all agree that we are, God bearers, made in the image of God, sacred things, holy people. But all that, we are all special, sacred, of the divine, because we carry that divine within us, I guess. Anyway, that was a lot. So sorry. So, yeah, is there anything that we want to ask for prayer? Ask us to type those in as we offer this prayer together.
To the one in whom all people and all creation have their being, may your kingdom come, your will be done, as above, so below. Sustain us for this day. Show us grace as we seek to show grace to those we feel have wronged us. Save us from the worst that is within us and within this world. For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen.
So, I've just been trying to think for Angela of some notices. All I can think of is that now we have been able to kind of increase capacity as Metal Methodist. That's, I think recognising the plan is to have more regular streams like this. That yes, we will do the in-person stuff, I guess predominantly in Sheffield, but we'll continue to be upcoming anywhere. If you book us, we will come. And most importantly, want to hear and listen to what those, whether you're joining for the first time, whether you're a member of you've liked the page and you're getting updates that way, whether you're watching on YouTube when things go live, or whether you've joined the Facebook group. What works for you. Also recognizing that for some people, social media is not a safe space. And so we've got the website as well. But again, what resources can we put on there that are of help? Is having some of this stuff in a usable either electronic format, so you can use it anywhere, the words and stuff, or in a kind of book format. Is that helpful? Reflections on Bible readings to kind of plow through while you're reading your metal Bible. Is that helpful? All this sort of stuff. We'd love to know. I guess that's the notices. That's where we're. What next? It kind of what next does it mean? Hello, Joyce. Oh, good to be with you. Kate. Yes. So we're going to do a stream in December, but the one in so this Saturday is in person at Walkley in Sheffield. Watch out, the post about it'll probably go live tomorrow. I think I've just finished the artwork for it, and then that will be streamed as well. and we hope to do a streaming thing. Some of the stuff from the in-person thing that we're working with Rachel on, but it's just making sure we can do that so that it works both as a stream and in person, which means it might need to be slightly different. But again, I think we've agreed that I am wanting to kind of do this more regularly. We'll continue to do so. Those were the nearest I can come up with the notices. It's been really good to be with you. And obviously, I still haven't found Hild. I put my PlayStation here. She might be in the PlayStation. I don't know. Pardon? No. I don't know what she's saying. If needs be, I'll have to go to Whitby and find her. But instead, tonight I'm joined with the best of all the Transformers. It's Transformers' 40th birthday this year, and so those of you who might not know, this is Starscream, who is obviously the best Transformer, because where is it? Because what I wanted to say was that's not what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say was Starscream from Metal Compline. The reason I've done this stream is because I thought of that earlier on, that joke, and it's not even funny. Starscream from Metal Compline. Yeah.